Yeah, Burmese.
First of all, how did you like our deep story?
It's super cute. Yeah, we are here checking out Beardadette and the Eternal Hiccup, and I'm joined by Brainoid and HonestDan. And I meant to ask, like, Brainoid, what alias do you prefer?
It doesn't matter, Brainy is fine.
Okay, it's probably going to be the easiest for me because it's the username I keep seeing on the side of the screen. But
Yeah, sure. That's also better for the chat, I guess. Or
um,
people watching this later.
yeah, yeah. So that said, if we can just sort of go one by one, and you can each talk briefly about your background in game development and your role on this project. So I guess we will start alphabetically as always, with Brainoid.
Okay, then. Yeah, I've been in game development industry for like not industry, but in game development for 15 years or something, I guess. Um, yeah, from the Flash era, right? I've been developing games, Flash games. Worked here and there. Then I started making mobile games. I started using Unity. Uh, yes, and I was making mobile games for a publisher for 2 years recently, and I stopped doing that because I was very tired. I was a prototype programmer basically, and I was making 3 to 4 game prototypes every month. So yeah, that was too much. I was just about to burn out, and I stopped. And then yeah, we made this game in LD47, I guess. I asked then I want to keep working on this because it came 12th overall and third in art graphics. Sorry. um, so yeah, it has potential. Yeah. Now I'm working on it. Full time.
Pretty much solo as well, which is tough.
uh,
But
yeah.
I'm a little confused as to where I should be standing so that my hiccups don't launch me into the fan blades.
yeah, right. A good question. So there is a way to do it, but the intention is a mechanic that you may have missed. So water gives if you interact with water.
Oh, right. Yes.
So we
Okay.
did it so you can brute force it, but if you press E on water, your character will slurp, and just like I'm sure our parents used to tell us, if you drill, just sip water and your hiccups will go away. So it's to delay the timer by to put it back to 10 seconds. And that is useful for not dying for fans there, but it might also play a role later in the game as well.
Good to know. Oh boy. um, so we got this little fly with a knife who hurt me and killed me. But I've also got this fan blade that I'm not sure what to do with. Okay, I'll do my best to figure that out. But also, like, yeah, you say, like, oh, it's a thing our parents used to tell us to do. By that, do you mean that you found limited to no success with that?
Well, with sipping water to it.
Yeah.
No, I think the only time hiccups actually truly go away is when you stop thinking about them. In the moment you're sitting there waiting for them to go away, you never go, oh, it didn't happen that time. It's just you get distracted and then they're gone. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that theory.
I do think it's
And
weird how there are just some things we still don't understand about our bodies, like hiccups. Is like you'd think that this is a simple thing to understand, but
yeah, 100%.
You killed the wasp.
yes, I did see that.
So yeah,
Yeah.
you did mention about like what to do there. So it's worth like iterating, I guess, that this game is kind of pitched as a kind of physics puzzle platformer, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. Not heavily reliant on physics, but the physics extent of it in this is that there's movable objects that you can stand on and become platforms for you, and they can also stop other physical items like the fan. That's the pretty much the extent of it, but that does form quite a bit of the kind of puzzling that you'll come across, as we are seeing in this bit that you're at now, because you want to get out of that cave, right? And
Yeah.
there we go. You remembered, there's a rock I could use. So it's a little bit about using them for multiple purposes, right? whilst hoping the hiccups don't annoy you as you drop things.
At first,
But
I thought that I. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, fun fact, you can get out of there with a very luckily well-timed hiccup jump without the rock. But, you throw the key as you hiccup jump, so it's a bit of a gamble, and you got to hope that the physics resolves in a way where the key stays out of the cave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that I figured that hiccup jumping was an actual thing you could do in the game.
Yeah, as well as throwing. Yeah, so the main things we wanted the hiccups to interact with various things, but we started with the kind of core things that we could mix well with other kind of platforming, kind of puzzly mechanics. So yeah, the ability to throw objects around. You can throw without, but you can throw things further and more conveniently. And then the second one would be to give you that double jump, and I think that's the most kind of transferable one to new players.
The key.
It's very tricky to time though, and I do notice that I don't respawn with the key.
Yes. The respawn system, we're lucky we have a respawn system. Let's just say that much. We would have liked to put the key there, but the way things were made it tricky. But we can talk about that in a little bit as well.
Sure. Yeah, all right. And then I guess we sort of got sidetracked because the game, I was starting to ask questions about the game itself. But,
oh yeah, I was meant to introduce, wasn't I?
Yeah,
I forgot that bit. Sorry. Yeah, so yeah, I'm Dan. I'm based in the UK. I've been doing game dev for just about 5 years now. I did a computer science degree back when I was in my early 20s, but never did any game dev, and then didn't do anything with programming for the best part of 10 years. And then, due to various life reasons and kind of early midlife crisis, whatever you call it, I was like, I've always wanted to make a game, never have. Now's a great time to do it. So I could afford to take some time off work, and I used that time to kind of self-train game dev, and started streaming that on Twitch, which is how I met Bora, Brainoid that is, who was one of my early viewers back when I was streaming on Twitch, who helped me when I was learning Unity and getting into things to begin with. Following on from that, I ended up teaching myself for a year and a half or so, doing a bit of web dev as a backup plan, and then fortunately, opportunity came up in a game dev studio in the UK. So it was using Unreal only, so I kind of very quickly tried to do a crash course in Unreal. But a lot of the kind of self-learning and recording, documenting my self-learning ended up helping me prove that I was someone motivated and capable in interviews. So ended up getting a job in game dev without ever having a game dev job or any coding job before, which was quite lucky. So I've been doing that for the last 3 years, working for a studio here. We co-develop with multiple studios, probably the biggest profile ones we've worked on. Games like Zombie Army and Sea of Thieves, and as well as our own IP, and there's other IPs I can't talk about, but we kind of just work with other studios on their projects mostly.
Nice. As a sort of general support or anything?
Our studio covers all areas. We've got designers, QA, artists, as well as the programmers and stuff. So typically how it'd work when we go on board with a client would be that we'd kind of embed with their team. Mm-hmm. So some projects only need programmers, and so we would form a sub-team with some key members from the client we're working with to work on, a group of features, or maybe if it's a game as a live service, it would be maybe for some season content that's going to be 6 months away. Then us, along with some of their staff, would work on that content together and then deliver it. There's various ways. It's generally as if it's kind of like subcontracting in a way where, you're kind of included in the studio rather than it just being can you do this for us, and you're not included in all the meetings. You still get involved in all of the kind of studio meetings, which is quite nice because it helps you see how different studios run from a selfish point of view. Mm-hmm. It's good for me, so. Oh, is the key stopping the platform going up there, Borat?
Yes, I know.
So, do you want to?
It's a heavy key. You open a huge gate with it. What were you thinking? You don't need the key.
Yeah, you don't need the key going forward. There's no benefit to it.
That sounds like that's how I get the good ending, is with carrying the key.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't trust Pomo. Is one of the bits of advice we give here.
Okay.
There's no secret ending. We wanted there to be, but there is no.
Okay.
Okay, is it going to go up this time?
Yeah, if I'm
Oh, yeah.
holding the key, then it works.
Right. Yeah, you don't need the key. I recommend leaving the key.
I will
but
leave the key.
Your approach to solving this puzzle is correct. You just, if there was no key to distract you, you'd probably be on your way.
You can get the key surprisingly far.
Yeah. Yes, yes, and that's one thing we've noticed with this game is you give people the chance to take things, and they think, "Oh, maybe I'll need it," and then it's a little frustrating sometimes watching it as a dev when you're like, they're focusing so much on this, they're missing out. They're like, their focus goes like 80% on that, and they miss out on a lot of the other detail, and maybe they're missing the main puzzle, or the fact that they just achieved something because they were so focused on their little sub objective. So yeah.
You need those emancipation grills in Portal. All right. So, what was the actual inspiration behind this game?
Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll let Brainoid answer mostly. The only things I'll lead the conversation with is a while ago Brainoid said he wanted to do like a side scroller beat 'em up. This is clearly not a side scroller beat 'em up, but we were keen to let him kind of explore the kind of maybe a 2.5D side scrolling elements because I don't think we've done an Unreal game that's like this for a jam at least.
Actually, Spacey asked for some 2D elements, I guess. Then we said why
yeah,
not,
that's true. Yeah. So Spacey, our artist, so she's a professional 3D artist who does wonderful things. She has created assets that you'll see in games like Fortnite.
She's a variety AAA 3D artist with half a comp science degree and a whole art degree.
Yes.
She wrote in the chat.
Oh, yes. Now I was like, Brainoid, you know Spacey very well there.
Yeah, lest we forget, Spacey has actually been commenting in the chat here. I was just about to read off those responses once we, before we moved on. Didn't want to forget.
Sorry, then I interrupted you.
Yeah, no. So you're right. The other thing that we had coming into it was because Spacey does 3D at work, but I think she enjoys 2D is what I gather from her. She's welcome to correct me in chat. It's nice to not do work at home as well, you know. And I think she's been really like exploring and improving her 2D work over the last couple of years and so I think like it's probably her preferred thing for jams. But we did 3D in the last jam and we kind of made an official deal, you know, do 3D this one, we'll do 2D next one. So she was keen for us to do 2D too, so that factored into it. And then the final thing before I hand over to Brain on this was when we were brainstorming for ideas, the thing was a hiccuping lizard. That was the sentence. But Brainoid came to mind with the 10-second cooldown thing, or every 10-second theme. So yeah, Brain, what was your thoughts around it? What brought that to you?
Yeah, I wanted something stronger with the theme, and like it's not just random thing happening because I played other games and usually it's like every 10 seconds you get to choose an upgrade or the level restart or something like that. But I wanted to choose something from real life that makes more sense, right? So Hiccup was, I don't know, I liked it. I liked the idea and I got excited. Oh no, the turtle thing.
Oh, this is a bug that you can cause, right?
Yeah, let's go. Let's see. Let's see
if it happens. No, maybe not. Maybe not.
It only happens when you leave it on the thing and keep going.
Okay. So basically, the bug, to give you context, is if you have the turtle on that pad that you just pressed, which was like a switch, and you on it, sometimes it can make the platforms go up twice too high for you, and you won't be able to reach them.
Oh,
so just so you're aware of that. But if you but yeah, I agreed with Brain when he said the idea. I was like, you know what, I actually like that because it's quirky. Everyone understands a hiccup. It's actually relatable enough to not feel, as Bora kind of said there, not like just an add-on gimmick. not like an enemy wave spawns every 10 seconds. So yeah, I think that was the main kind of thing that I was just like, I was quite open to that from the start. But yeah, with that said, the whole how the game would work as time went on, yeah, I probably struggled the most in this jam than I have for many jams of just feeling it. I had major doubts on whether it would be fun, and that as a result kind of really impacted my kind of motivation, my attitude. I was a little bit under the weather, ill and tired anyway, which didn't help. But yeah, ultimately, I was in places where I couldn't work. Normally in a jam, I'll work like 12 hours a day when I'm up or longer. But in this one, I had to take a few hours off in the evening because I was just getting, for no better word, pissed off and not enjoying it. And yeah, thankfully, Brainoid and Spacey kept the positivity going and made sure that we kept pushing through and have something great at the end of it. But I think it ended up coming down to, yes, 10-second hiccup is cute and it works, but we didn't know how it would feel, whether it would be too slow. And I think a lot of other people who we saw in the chat on the first day when we're streaming some dev here were also concerned, like 10 seconds feels like it's not short enough, but it's not long enough for many ideas. And it was really hard to know because we didn't do it like an arcade game where you get the game loop within half a day's work and then you're polishing and improving it. Instead, we went for a game where you don't see how all the elements mesh together until everything's done.
Right.
And so that I had that sense of unease of like, this could be really dull. And that ended up impacting how we designed a lot of the puzzles or made them a bit easier, to be fair, right?
Yeah.
So just real quick, am I crazy, or am I supposed to use a hiccup jump to complete this challenge?
Yeah.
Yes.
And time your jump, I guess, first.
Yeah.
So it's the last one, but the last platform you need to use the hiccup jump on.
Yeah.
But when you press the button, the things will only stay up for 10 seconds too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's trying to get these two aligned has been very difficult. So I'm glad that I have the right idea. It's just I'm trying to think of what's the time interval that I need to do this on.
I think you want to maximize how long you've got until you hiccup.
Exactly. Yeah.
So as soon as you hiccup, you should be good to get those platforms going and see what you can do.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I just...
You have the indicator as well, right? The
yeah.
hiccup indicator.
Around the screen, it should light up.
Yeah, I'm trying to pay attention to that as well, but it's like... Because I don't have like a 3, 2, 1...
Yeah.
It's very tricky.
So Bora actually put quite a bit of effort into seeing if the music could help with this, right? Well, do you want to talk through what you did for it, mate?
Yeah, sure. So there's a beat, and at the end of the beat, first there's a high-pitched note that cues, and it is synced with the overlay, that transparent overlay, and there's something else too. What was it? Actually, the music. There's a fill at the end of the beat, so that also helps, I guess.
Yeah, it's and especially if you drink water and that resets your hiccup, then the music will be synced to that as well to keep it harder. On this particular bit as well, I would say the advice would be don't feel as soon as you see the border you need to jump.
Right.
The border comes on. Is it a second early, Brain?
Yeah, something like that.
1 second, so you can see the border. You know, okay, I've got 1 second, so you go 1. And then you like halfway through that jump, and it'll probably get you there. But if you've got the music loud, it might help you kind of sync it up. I appreciate we're rattling in your ear, which doesn't help.
Oh my goodness! Finally, thank you for putting a checkpoint right after that, because I don't know. Do people usually get stuck there, or am I just having?
Do you want the nice answer or the truthful
honest
answer?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. When I first played it and we were testing it before submitting it, I messed it up continually for around 10 times in a row. So I think it depends. I think if you're a bit panicky or thinking not confident when the hiccup is coming, or if you're a little bit distracted, that can impact it. But I think most of the people we've watched on Twitch do it haven't been too bad with it, have they?
Yeah, well, most of the people pass this bit with luck, I guess.
Yeah, you can just happen to run on it at the right time, and it all works out too.
Yeah.
This bit is where people tend to get stuck.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to point out earlier when we were talking about assets and space, making assets for us.
Mhm.
She was saying that she gets stressed out trying to make 3D things because she can't make them as well as she wants to during a jam. Like obviously, as a 3D artist, she has quite a lot of time to work through different iterations and make really nice solid pieces. But she has to kind of restrict herself a bit. I mean, there's an element of that crosses across to code, right? If you look at, like me, Brainoid calls me the janitor because I tend to try and clean up his code because I find it hard to ignore messy code. So Brainoid codes very well for a game jam, gets stuff done really fast. He can really iterate and develop systems very, very, very quickly. Whereas I get bogged down in, is this the right way to do it? And so, I think it affects different disciplines as well.
Yeah, I find Dan implementing scriptable interfaces and stuff like that, where he could get away with a simple inheritance, for example.
Yeah, I always think of nice ways to do things, thinking, oh, it could be reused, but then it ends up getting so butchered by the end of the jam that it can't be reused anyway because it's got cluttered with all these other systems that we had to hack in at the end of it. But did we just see it? The game has been completed?
It has, yeah. I think I can at least make up for the fact that if I got stuck on the part that most people don't, maybe I was able to beat that part.
And did you realize how you solved it? Like, are you aware?
Yeah. I saw like the other two lizards were hiccuping, and each one of them was raising up the platform. So I was just trying to sync my hiccups up with theirs.
Nice, because most people don't. They just pass that bit with luck, just drinking water several times, and at the end, it's the right time.
So yeah, Borrow approached it in a good way. Like it's a good puzzle. What unfortunately happened in the jam is we had an hour to 2 hours left to do that last level, and that was just purely Brainoid who was doing that. And so like I thought we were cutting those, and then he showed it and he'd done it and he got all the artwork in and he got a little ending screen. He'd done it all, so he smashed it out in a bit of time. But the thought is there because you actually go past a set of those statues earlier. And you can see there's 3 of them hiccuping in a row, and it lights it. They go 1, 2, 3 effectively, left to right. And so he's trying to like give an example. This is what it should be. And then when you get to that last one, you're meant to kind of connect the dots of going, oh, okay, we want to get the 1, 2, 3 again. But I think that there's quite a few things we could have done to maybe communicate that a bit better. Some of the things, I think the rhythm is a bit faster on the second one. Which can throw some people, and I also think the fact that the platform goes up when you lick the water, if you get it in the right time, makes people think that drinking the water made the platform go up, which again can confuse from what that sense of, oh, I solved it. I think they feel like, oh, okay, I just drank water to do it, and then it's maybe less satisfying as a result.
Yeah, I was seeing that, and that like it did. As much as I say, like, I did solve it, I don't know if I solved the time as much as I just thought that I had the right time relative to, like, seeing the platform go up.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Well, you're like going down the right path, right? And I think if it was more, not fine-tuned, I guess more specifically implemented, we could have helped with a bit of feedback if you'd done it at the wrong time. But the idea was it was meant to be just any point between the 2 other hiccups. So as long as you're doing it in that, so that the lights light up in the 1, 2, 3 order, then it would get you high enough to pass.
I think it is a good puzzle, but like maybe it's not a jam game puzzle, because like in a proper game, you'd be okay like stucking in a puzzle for 15 minutes or 20 minutes, but in a jam game that's
you're
weird.
right. No, you are right there actually. I think in this my favorite puzzle is the first Hoarder puzzle that you made. Yeah, and I think this one here.
Yeah.
The only thing that lets it down is it isn't always reliable. Which is there's a bug where sometimes there's 2 things that factor into it. One,
can you try to kill the little guy this time? Maybe.
Oh wait, you can kill him? Oh, with
yeah.
the fan blade.
So that's the main strategy. Is you can, if you're running far enough away and the timing of the guy's animations is right, you can do what you just did. But the other strat was meant to be that, you put the cog in, and then while he goes to get that, you can remove the rock, and when he comes back to his pile, he'll run through the fan, and that'll knock him, towards the camera and out of the game, just like you went.
It's something like the wolf, sheep, and cabbage riddle. If you know that one. Yeah. So you go back, then you bring it back, and he goes that way, something like that.
Yeah.
Kugiman's asking how you complete it without killing the guy, but I managed to do it the first time I played. I just stuck the gear in and...
Yeah, so can you see he just went and did a little bit of an animation, the rock guy?
Yeah.
So sometimes he'll be right on your tail, and as soon as you run away with the cog, he's right on you. But there's other times where he'll stop and do a little stompy animation like that. And if he does that, then you can get the speed. Oh, I think you just got him. I think he probably flew away on the edge of the screen.
Yeah,
You
I just
didn't
couldn't
see
see
it.
him. Yeah.
It's probably good, it's a family-friendly show. We don't want to see rock death usually.
Yes.
Poor, but now you've got the cog at least. But yeah. So that's the only downside with the puzzle in my view. I think it's a super clever one, and Bora has rightly felt like rewarded seeing how many people like react to that puzzle, because they first see, oh, it steals the cog. Then they laugh. It's a bit of a funny little character. He likes his shiny trinkets, whatever. But then when they think they've solved the puzzle, they get on the lift, it starts going up, and then this little thing comes and yoinks it out of the machine. So many people, we could get a clip compilation of how many people insult that little dude. Yeah. So like massive credit to Brent, because he explained it to me and I didn't immediately. I didn't think it was bad. I didn't think it was wrong, but you don't get it until you see it all in action, or unless you like Bora, if you imagine how people are going to do it. He did really well with that.
Yeah,
and I think it's probably one of the cleverest mechanics we've had in a little game, like a little puzzle thing like that. I think that we've had. It was deep, in my opinion.
What I learned in this game jam is it's really difficult to explain your puzzle ideas to your teammates. It's not easy, man.
Yeah, especially when I was grumpy, it doesn't help. But I think even if not, it's really hard to translate what makes something fun sometimes,
Sure. Because I imagine it in my head, but it's not translating at all.
I do think that ideally there would be a checkpoint after clearing away these rocks, because it just feels a little tedious to have to do it each time you fail at this puzzle.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you could, yeah. I mean, the thing, I think we were playing it efficiently as you do as devs, and we know you just clear away the top rock and you're fine. But you're right. As a player, it does make sense. Okay, let's clear all these rocks so I can run out. So it's a good bit of feedback, I think.
The rocks are just last-minute replacement of a breakable wooden door. So there was actually only one rock you can throw at a wooden door in the puzzle sketch. But
this is a section of the game that I don't think I really solved the first time. I just got lucky because I don't know how to deal with like what's the ideal timing to like not get stabbed by the little wasps.
So I think the main mechanic that I think is important for players to get is with the jumping one that you're on as well, is the impact of the hiccup.
Oh, that was perfect, by the way.
Yeah, how you just did that then. So what you did there is you waited for your hiccup, whether this was intentional or not. Once you hiccup, you throw your shield, right?
Yeah.
So you can't do that once you're in the sand or you'll die. So you waited as close as you could to the edge of the sand, you hiccup, you catch it before the trash dude steals it, and then you've got maximum run duration with the turtle until you next hiccup, and that should get you through the sandstorm. So it's in a similar way of just quite often
Sorry.
Oh no.
What?
I thought
he's so close, the turtle. No, it's gone.
No, it's water. Turtle's happy. Turtles like water.
You are right.
I was doing that
around.
on purpose, just getting Turtle back to water.
No,
should be another ending, right?
The
throwing
game
the
ends
turtle
there, right?
in the water.
Or maybe he grows to be a giant turtle and it's a boss. Wonderful. So I think so the puzzles like this one then. Oh, you did that much better that time, didn't you? Yeah.
First try.
It's about appreciating that you've got that 10 seconds. We wanted people to think about that kind of 10-second, every 10 seconds element of it. And so making the puzzle where you had to really wait till you hiccup to know you've got that 10-second window was one of the intentions there.
Yeah.
I've just for your reference as well, I've dropped into your stream chat channel on Discord. I've dropped in some screenshots there of like what Brainoid first came up with on paper. And then just like kind of how it looks like when we set it up in editor. We don't have to talk about them all, but it is more of just a case of if you wanted something to, when we're talking, if we do mention it, then it makes a bit more sense.
Let's open all these up. We can just sort of have them as reference. I'm sure my computer is going to be much happier with just a bunch of static pictures to click through. I can hear it just like, screaming. Is that a common thing with Unreal, by the way? That like, what do you have to do to like optimize it so it doesn't freak out like that?
I think, as far as I understand, and this is, don't take this as truth, take this as my opinion, is I think Unreal will just try and, if it's got the resources, it will use it. So it's not that our game is not performant, it's just that it will try and use as much as your resources to make sure it runs as well as it can. We have actually taken, Brainoid especially has put steps in to try and make sure that we don't waste things. And like all the different foliage actors that we put, like the cactuses and that you can see in that picture, all of those have their collision off and like extra little touches that you don't really need. Like we don't have too many lights and shadows, turn off casting shadows on things that your player's not going to notice. So we do take steps to do stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think as an engine, it will generally just be like, all right, give me all the juice you got and I'll do my best.
And I guess in the 4.26 version of Unreal, they added dynamic batching. So things get automatically batched too. I mean, Unity had it years ago. I don't understand why Unreal was too late for that, but yeah. So games should be more performant now.
Yeah, which helps.
But somehow they're not.
So we do, back to your original question, that we have noticed, I think to play it, it's normally fine. Streaming is the issue.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like I'm so impressed, no one's had a crash this time, and the crashes are normally due to bugs, but still, no one's had a crash, and only one person really had a difficult time streaming it. Normally, when they're ready, like waiting to open it and like sweating, is it going to run? Is it going to go 5 frames per second? Will this stream disconnect? Trust me, we've had all of these things. We just went from them opening our game, So that's the biggest hiccup you could say that we face. But it's as it running, just playing it as a game, it's been pretty fine for us, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to quickly acknowledge, of course, CJ Gladback, thank you so much for the raid, and welcome raiders. We are just in the middle of an interview with HonestDan and Brainoid, taking a look at Beardadette and the Eternal Hiccup. I'll drop the link in chat in case anyone else would like to try it. I was just playing through the game. I finished it twice in the scope of our conversation, but we were just going to take a look at some behind-the-scenes stuff, which is where the question of Unreal optimization or lack thereof came up, because as you said, you did everything you could, and I know that. I don't believe any one of these jam games that you try out that has like 3 polygons on screen is suddenly like should be red lighting an NVIDIA 1080, but nonetheless it does.
Yeah.
Also, please appreciate that our game is only 10 megabytes.
Oh yeah.
110.
Oh yeah, because that's the other thing that used to happen with Unreal games, is it would be around 500 meg plus for a game. So when someone download, one, it's hard to get people to play games that aren't web games anyway, but secondly, when they click on it or they see the download and it's like 1 gigabyte, so it's just like crikey. It puts you off, definitely. So yeah, we took part in the Epic Mega Jam, which was like Unreal Engine sponsored game jam. They did it a month or so ago, and one of the categories they have in that is the Tiny Award, where if games manage to get their package game unzipped under 150 megabytes, then they are in for that category and can win a prize in that category. And normally our friend Partly Atomic, along with Spacey, have given us feedback. They've done the jam before, and not many people take part in that category. So we're like, yeah, why not? Let's try and see if we can get our game into a small size too. So we did a bunch of stuff, and one of the main things really is there's so much, there's so many plugins and that in there. Unreal's very much an engine you open up, and there's so many tools you can play with. And I think they leave a lot of them on because they don't know what type of game the normal user is going to use. But as a result, you have a lot of bloat in there. And secondly, there's a bunch of like packaging options and that the brain has gone through it and worked out that you can save a lot of space with. You can do things such as like don't cook the default engine content that comes with it. So all the assets, the default stuff that comes with it that you don't typically put in your game anyway, that won't be exported out when you package your game. And the nice fancy materials that they give you as default ones to play around with, they look great, but you're not using them, and the textures alone will probably add a fair chunk to your game size as well. So lots of little things combined, but I was happy to get the game like not quite a Unity game size, but I think 100 meg is a very well. It was under, I think so. Like it's respectable to keep it in double digits at least.
Dan?
Yeah.
I'm feeling we're hijacking the stream again, not letting him ask any questions.
It's fine. It's fine. Like these are all answers to questions I would have been asking anyway. But we're good. Like I only had 2 interviews planned for today specifically because I wanted to give them each an hour as the case as was necessary. So. Given the time we have, though, I did want to take a look at some of these behind-the-scenes screenshots. And was there anything in particular that you wanted to discuss when looking at these?
Well, if you're happy to, if you go to the drawn one, then the paper one, that was the one that Bora sent over when he was trying to. Earlier, he was mentioning it's hard to kind of convey ideas across. So this was his idea. Once we worked out, okay, we want the jump and we want to throw things. They were the kind of main mechanics that we wanted, and to get that story across at the end, and the little kind of timing your hiccups with water and getting that platform to go up. Those were the kind of mechanics, and this is how we kind of planned out the level initially. So imagine it as one continual level, but you just carried it on like one layer down, if you will. So this is how it started, and it ended up being pretty true to that. You can see we've got water in there, we've got fans in there, we've got the elevator that goes up automatically, which is in the game. He's got a cave that looks a bit better than what I ended up doing for him at the top of the screen where the key is. But the core idea, at least, is there that we had a bit underground with a fan that you need to go down, find the key, come back out, but use the rock that you block the fan with to get back out. So
I just realized we didn't have that lizard.
We wanted to start trickling that story as well. And Brain had a great idea that he wanted, like with the hiccup mechanic, between every few hiccups you have, and based on how far through the level you are, it will prompt a different dialogue thing, which will build up this story. But time didn't so work. But this is something that Brain especially is keen to explore in another jam, at least. Kind of like Bastion style, if you know. But the reason I want to show this is then for people who haven't seen how you make a 2D game in Unreal, you can then see, if you look at a couple of the screenshots, the kind of how that kind of translates into it. So this is just like the first picture along that you went on is just like the flat kind of flat on view that makes it look kind of 2D. And then if you go to the I guess is a longer one showing the whole level, possibly. Well, the stream's a couple of seconds behind.
Yeah, so. They are named like level 1, level 2, level 3. So if there's any one in particular you want me to click on, level 3 looks it shows a big chunk of it. Yeah,
that's the one. So that shows we basically split into 3 areas, because when you're working with engines like Unreal, if you're working with code, you can merge that stuff together. If you're working with assets, you end up being in situations where you don't want to use the same asset because only one can change it. You can't merge that stuff. So we ended up using level streaming, splitting them into 3 levels, and then this one that you can see here is where we've stacked them one next to each other to make one continuous level. One of the inspirations Brainoid was keen on looking at was the inside, or kind of limbo, the kind of puzzle side scroller. We don't really notice that you finish a level. So but this was good because it allowed us to kind of work on our own areas without interfering with the code so much. Another clever idea Brain came up with, if you were to look at is level 5 picture and level 4 picture. So it's the same picture, just with some things missing.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned it'd be nice if we kept the key once you earned it as part of the checkpoint. So essentially we couldn't just restart the level when you died, because we needed to keep your kind of progress in the level where you spawn and stuff. But there's a bit of a tricky thing with. It's a physics-based game, right? So if you had a rock in a fan, you could cache where the location was, but if you then restart the level, put the stone in the fan, physics would resolve it and kick the stone to Mars. It'd be flying through the air at 100 miles per hour.
Right.
And so re-coordinating the world like that was tricky. So Brainoid came up with this cool idea that you see between
Can
pictures.
I take over here?
Yeah, go.
So I actually fixed the thing. They weren't flying away. We were restarting very nicely, and then I realized it is way more difficult to restart the little stone guy. He is called Hoarder, by the way. He has items stacked up behind him. Because it's an AI, and when I restarted, the navigation wasn't working properly, and all those weird stuff. So I figured I should copy all the dynamic objects that we interact with, or they interact with each other, and put them all into another level. And then we only load this stream in this level when we die, like unload and load, only a few objects. Like we keep the pure level and the foliage, but we only change the dynamic ones. So that was the idea.
It's nice because we didn't have to force everything back, which meant that it was a consistent start to every time you played it. It wasn't slightly different, and the timing was kind of back as well, which was nice. So especially when you're trying a puzzle over and over and you keep failing, you don't want the level parameters to be slightly different each time, because that can be a bit of a sour experience too. But you do find some bugs, some fun bugs, I guess, with the way that we did it, because based on what area you're in, when you hit a checkpoint, it'll reload the dynamic objects of that sub area. But if you carry the turtle from area 2 to area 3, because it's no longer in area 2, it doesn't reset the turtle when you die. So you can actually, even if you die, the turtle will stay there, which was a little fun Easter egg, because when we first watched him, someone was trying to take the turtle all the way and then they died. We're like, oh no, they're going to lose the turtle. But actually, they didn't. The turtle stayed there because of we didn't plan for it, but it just worked out nicely.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the I imagine, do you think this helped with the speed of reloading the level at all, having to only load in the dynamic assets?
Sure.
Yeah, especially I think it's not ideal now, but if we had to load everything, it'd be even worse. You'll notice every time you respawn, you can see the dynamic objects pop in. It's not a nice bit of polish. We could obviously deal with that with more time.
Yeah, but it's just the timing of the transition, I guess.
Yeah. So, but if we were reloading the whole level as well, then it could have made it a little bit more. We might have been a bit more of a starter for the player loading in as well.
Yeah, or even just have the black screen last for half a second longer.
Yeah. It's the thing when you start doing that, it starts easy, and then you're like, oh yeah, but I've got to stop the player from being able to control during that bit as well.
Yeah.
And then the AI can't attack yet, and then you're like, you know what, it's a jam.
We actually had this bug where they were able to run when the transition is happening, and they were falling down. But because they weren't hitting the new checkpoint that we are just loading in, there were no checkpoints at all, so they were getting stuck.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's weird. We fixed that.
All right. Well, I did just still want to ask, what do you think was the most difficult problem you encountered during the jam, and how did you solve it?
I want to talk about the one we didn't solve it, but I will talk about it later. Do you have one, Dan?
I think if I'm honest with this, Brainoid did most of the tricky problem solving. I was in a shit mood, and if I came across a problem, he's like, "Do you know, I'll just leave it and I'll look at it later." So I think, I'll let Brain answer this one mostly.
The checkpoint was really the weird one. And Unreal didn't behave well in that thing. How I solved it, it doesn't matter. because I every time I thought I sold it, it introduced something new. So yeah, that was stressful. Um, but I really want to talk about, Dan mentioned earlier, I wanted a dialogue system after most of the hiccups, and he said like Bastion, but my main point was so because we have 10 seconds, and if you fail a hiccup jump, then you have to wait for another 10 seconds, and that sucks. I thought I was thinking about Hades, and when you die, you don't get sad a lot because like you unlock new dialogues, right? When you start again. So I was thinking like, what if we tell the story through the hiccups, and after each hiccup, the lizard speaks maybe 3 sentences, not 3 sentences, 3 seconds or 4 seconds. So you only wait for 3 seconds and then make your jump. Yeah, that was my dream, but we didn't have time. We didn't have time because the dialogues also take a lot of time.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, I think that there's still room to add something like that in, but I can also imagine how you might just get distracted reading the dialogue and then not manage to make the jump a second time in a row, or otherwise,
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. I think that it would take some iteration beyond just the sheer implementation to see exactly like how that system would work best.
True, and it needs good writing, I guess. But I believe in Dan and Spacey, they're really good at it. I kind of found the story core of the story, but they wrote a nice one. I actually Dan did, I guess, wrote the whole story.
Yeah, it was Brain's idea, but I'm for some reason I get bothered if things don't make sense. I like there has to be some connection, some loop, because otherwise, if I play a game and the story is just like, it feels like the story only exists to match their gameplay or the theme or whatever they're trying. It's like purposely there's this weird way that the story bends, and if it wasn't for the theme, then they wouldn't have done that. That's why it bothers me, because I feel it makes us look weak, where I know we can be more creative than that. So that's why I try and force, even if no one, like in this game, no one actually saw the story because we didn't include it in the game. But it makes me feel more confident that going forward with the jam entry, if we do get to tell the story, it's a story that's worth telling. It's worth spending time doing a bit of voice acting or pop-ups with dialogue text, because it's gonna be a little complete package for someone if they play the whole thing.
Yeah, and I did read the HIO page. I guess not everyone, you can't guarantee that, but I always read the HIO page before I launch the game.
Yeah, you're one of a few wonderful saints. Well done.
By the way, it is one of the shortest pages we have in Ludum Dare as well.
Do you know what? I worked hard on that to be concise, because I always get ridiculed for writing so much on these things. So I'm glad that we got a concise one at least.
Oh gosh, I just clicked over to the Lars mission, and it's well, there's a lot to explain here as well, so I understand how it ended up that way.
And it wasn't all me, this, I don't think. No, Brain did the flow chart of many.
Oh yeah, but he is only checking the itch.io part.
It's
the Ludum Dare page is even worse.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
But yeah, Spacey just mentioned about can't write anything for our games because I never understand the game well enough before it ships.
I think Spacey chucks up some of these barriers herself. She's always like, no, I don't get it. I don't want to. I'm not good at doing design. You just tell me what to do. But when she does give ideas and get involved, it always adds value to what we do. So I think she always feels she has a lot to do in these jams. If I'm to speak on her behalf, like I am.
She usually names our games without understanding the game.
Yeah, she's good. She's good with puns. She's good with puns and that. So we're like, 2 hours left. We need a game name, and then she's finished her assets at that point. She's the one who's trying to like make. Oh, she's great in terms of now. When she makes art, she'll combine stuff and make a cover art thing and something that we could upload to the itch page and to the LD page. There's a nice kind of aspect ratio and stuff. So when it comes to then like uploading the game, everything's ready there, and it's like it's such a life change, like lifesaver, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the both pages like look nice and clean. I especially like the I recognize this now. This is the ground texture that's in the background here.
True.
Cohesion.
So sorry,
Space is a professional when it comes to reusing textures and stuff, or assets, I should say.
One brain cell on control and the other one on Z, and there's nothing left. So if anyone has any questions that they'd like to ask, please make sure you get those in now. And otherwise, I wanted to ask, do you have any plans for this game going forward? Do you want to like tweak anything that's in there, or you think you're like happy with it as it is?
Well, one thing I'd say is this is one of the first Jam games we've finished that felt good to play afterwards, that we just like, do you know what, we don't actually have much more to do. Which is normally we're like the next day we're like, oh, I just want to see what it would have been like if we had time to finish this little bit, and you have these kind of urges and pangs to kind of push through. We were infamous for doing bloody post-jam versions of our games before, and then like what was meant to be, a jam's great because it's just a weekend, turns into like an extra month of just investing into a project because we enjoyed it. But I think I was happy with this, that it's quite a complete little package. The gimmick is fun for a jam but not for a full game. And so the character in that is great and could work if you were to flesh things out. But from me, from a gameplay, I think it suits the jam. What do you reckon, Border?
Yeah, not much to say. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I know what you mean in terms of like a mechanic, basically being able to fully explore it within the space of a jam. There's just it wouldn't lend itself to a larger experience. But Pomo was asking if you think the game would have been different if the theme was something else.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah.
I usually try not to say I hate this theme. This sucks. But yeah, this was the worst one ever for me.
I mean, that said, I think you still came up with a very good one. Like a good game from the theme inspiration.
Well, I say this in terms of like I don't like the variety of the games I'm seeing out there, and yeah, things like that. Not because I struggled with the theme.
No, for sure. I do know what you mean, because when I saw that was going to be the theme, I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be playing a whole bunch of top-down shooters where my gun changes every 10 seconds. Cool.
Yeah. We had the same fear ourselves. And I think that's one bit of good positive feedback we've had seeing streamers play it, is they've tend to say that the theme was strong. And when we do LDs, I'm sometimes Brain and Spacey are just like, it doesn't matter so much. We want to do the theme, but if our idea ends up straying from it because it sounds better, they're like, yeah, it's fine, we can make it work. But for me, it bothers me. It's the same as the story writing I was saying earlier. It just irks me. It feels like a bit of a sellout, a bit of a cheap way out. And so I can often be a bit of a thorn in the side of our plans, trying to make sure that it sticks to the theme. But this one, we didn't need to do that, I feel.
They also introduced opting out of theme this time, Rob.
Oh, yeah. So, I did just want to read out Spacey's comments about, I try to finish art as soon as possible to leave time for implementation. I hate finishing things on the last day because Dan and Brainoid are really busy trying to finish important things. And one day we'll do small scope. Next time for sure.
Yeah, she said that for the last 3 years. She's a good egg.
Yeah, I honestly think Lars Mission was a good scope. At least we know we can do bigger scope games, but yeah, Lars Mission was the sweet spot, I guess.
It wasn't. I think Spacey and I, to an extent, I think would like to do smaller than Lars Mission as well, though, because I think that we never get to polish. We get your polish that you naturally do as you do stuff. But we never get to be like, we're done. How can we make this better? I don't think we've ever finished early, and so yeah, it would be nice one day.
Yeah, I think it's a good goal to strive for. So, unless anyone has any other questions they'd like to ask, then I'll sort of round things out by asking, where can people find you both on social media? Spacey, that includes you too, actually. Make sure you post any links that you'd like. If you have any other projects you'd like to plug or social media channels that you'd like to give a shout out to.
Bora?
Yeah, I was copying the link. Sorry. Yeah, my Twitter handle is this one, but I'm mostly retweeting Dan and not sharing anything else. And I wanna invite everyone over to our Kattenberg Discord, which is our LV47 game, and I'm working on it. It's gonna be a good game, hopefully.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm gonna invite.
I've dropped a link to the itch page at least, but you can drop the Discord link in there.
Okay, thank you.
I just found it, yeah.
Yeah, so Kattenberg was it the first jam we did? No, we did Banners before, didn't we? With Spacey.
True.
I'm trying to think
True.
what our first one was. Yeah, but it was the first one Spacey did 2D art for us. And this was, it was a weird jam because we went into it with an idea already, a little bit of like a card game mechanic that we wanted to explore. But then I think everything, when it came together, when we saw how great Spacey could make these like 3D art, 3D cards with 2D art on them look, and when it was quite an original kind of card game. I think it just it kind of motivated us to carry on and do it. So yeah, it's a bit slow in development at the moment. Brainoid works on it most of the time, and I'm in full-time job, and so I'm finding it hard to make the energy and time for it. But it is something that I'd like to start pulling my weight on, and us to get something that we're still in a phase where we're trying to explore our ideas to know, is it a game we want to try and go commercial with. So it's still early days, but we're fleshing it out, and we've got some really cool ideas with it.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I mean, you can see Pomo already queuing for a tester build of Kattenberg.
Yeah.
He has been asking in the Discord for almost 2 years. It was 2 years ago we made it, I think, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, but we didn't work on it for a solid year, I guess, right?
Yeah, correct.
Because I was also busy with mobile stuff.
Yeah. I guess as for myself, I'm like HonestDan Games on all the social media platforms, the Twitteroo and Twitch and stuff will be there. And I'd also say my YouTube I would share, purely because it also relates to the Kattenberg stuff. So whenever me and Bora try and have a catch up on Kattenberg, it used to be once a month. It slipped a bit at the moment. We'd have a chat where Brainoid shares like what he's been working on, and he's got a bunch of design questions.
Chattenberg.
Yes, Chattenberg is perfect. So we have the Chattenbergs, and then I'll post up that video, and it's a great way to see the progress and also hear our intentions going forward. So there's the playlist for it, and that'll also be on my actual YouTube channel as well.
All right. Wow. Yeah. There's quite a lot of these you've done at this point.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for making the time, Spacey, as well. I know that you were stuck at work, but thank you for getting some answers out into chat and contributing. But yeah, thank you all for taking the time to talk through Beardadette and the Eternal Hiccup. This has been a lot of fun. I think it's a really cute game. You know, I think I'm really glad that everything came together as well as it did. And you know, I think there was a couple small things that if you'd had more time, like tutorialization, right, is eternally one of the most difficult things you can do. And the puzzles took a little bit of trial and error, but with some of your prompting, I was able to figure stuff out. I think I would have gotten it even if I hadn't had the prompting. It might have just taken a little bit longer. But overall, so would you consider it's done as is, or do you think maybe a couple small tweaks here and there in a post-jam version?
Well, that question is directed to me, I guess, because Dan doesn't have the time.
Okay.
Anyways.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like we didn't work on Lars' mission as well. We left it as is, and it has potential as well, I think.
Yeah, Lars has more potential than this.
Yeah, and I think Kattenberg has more potential than any of them. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
that's
not
our
even a
priority.
question. Yeah, it wasn't even a question of whether like you foresee making this into a full release product as much as it was like, are there any rough edges you want to sand down and call that the definitive version?
I'm just worried if I start doing that, I would try to add dialogue as well and tell the story with it. So yeah, I will try to stay away from it. Only maybe we discussed we could add some speed running options.
Oh yes, yeah. We thought we might try and we've got a framework that we can use for like a leaderboard thing. So if we could add a timer in it before Pomo does his, because Pomo hosts the high score thingy-majiggy, we could at least put it as a candidate game for that if people wanted to choose to do it, to do like who can do it in the fastest run. But I think that was the only thing I've talked about, how we could kind of add a little bit to it for a post-jam version.
Yeah, I think there was like a fun thing on my second playthrough. You said you don't need to keep that key with you, but I did, and then I used the key to make the jump on the elevator, and I'm wondering if that's any faster. It's like there are little optimizations you can do here and there, but as much as I think it's fun to add as a potential angle, I'd say if it isn't in there already, how many people do you really anticipate playing the game after the jam's over?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
So, not to dissuade you if there are things that you want to adjust or tweak about the game, but I just think that if there's anything you're going to change about it, I don't think that, like, even if you have the framework already, I just don't know if it's something that you need to add to this project specifically.
So actually, I tried some tests with Unreal's 2D character controller, and it was buggy with physics because I really wanted to make a side-scroller game. Maybe not in this jam, but maybe another jam. So I wanted to test it, and it was buggy. I wrote my own character controller, and it wasn't perfect. So we used that one in this game, and maybe I can fix some bits of it and make it work better. I might work on that later, actually.
Sorry about the task manager. Just my PC was like freaking
a few
out.
bugs I might want to fix.
Okay, I was worried that I might have just crashed there, but I think we're good. Just had a couple frame drops, so sorry about that. But...
Muted if you're talking to us.
Muted? Uh-oh. I think Discord crashed. Okay, that's the problem. Sorry, we're going to relaunch Discord. Oh my gosh, okay. Something is very not happy. I'm gonna close Firefox just because that's no, there.
Hello?
Well, hello.
Okay, sorry, my PC is like lag spiking like crazy, so I'm worried that we're on the precipice of another blue screen. Unfortunately, I've had a couple of those recently, but
Blame Unreal.
Unreal's closed. I don't know what's going on. But I closed Firefox at least.
It was open once. Okay.
It was open once ever. Okay. I think we're good. I think we can sort of wrap things up, round things out. So sorry about the sort of rocky ending here. But Brainoid, Dan, thank you so much for joining me on the call. Thanks again for sharing the game. It was a lot of fun to play through. And yeah, I'm always looking forward to the next big game from you and the team.
Don't say big game. Please.
Okay, I say relatively speaking, like it's yeah, I know. It's a production, relatively speaking.
We're just scared of the word big from now on, yeah.
But even if you do have a like in progress build of Kattenberg, I'd love to try that out on stream and have a conversation like this one. And I do love just like talking through stuff. There's been a couple developers I've had on where we just chat about their game for an hour and they end up having like, ooh, I'm that idea you just suggested, I'm going to steal that. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if that's something you're looking for specifically, but I thought I'd just throw it out there.
Sure. Always. I should maybe get you to play my Honest Gem 4 entry, actually.
Absolutely. Be happy to.
We'll talk about it later.
All right. Well, thanks again to both of you for making the time to come on to the interview. And yeah, I think we'll wrap things up there before my PC crashes. It was Firefox, though. I think we're better now that it's closed.
No, stay safe. We'll leave it at that.
Have a nice one. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Bye for now.
Cheers for your time. Thanks.